Ursula gave me the title that is this one, that is something for me very classical in the last 10 years. And, but I try to, not to tell the story as normal, but try to see what does it mean when you will deal with my perspective, that is the one who is trying to see what does it mean for designer to deal with social innovation, but in particular, what could be the contribution to sustainability makers. And so what is a design for and with sustainable makers. So let me give some idea of the starting point for my personal interest on social innovation. As if we know, we are in a planet that is limited, is crowded, is very densely crowded, is hyper-connected, and we search for solutions. We have to be able to use at best in a sustainable way every possible resource.
Ezio, is the mic on?
Eh?
Is the mic on?
I don't know. Pop, pop, yeah. Every possible resource. And if you are in a very crowded planet, 7 billion people now, probably 11 billion people in the future, and all these people is very highly connected, the most abundant resource that we have are people. So it's in some way contradictory because the number of people, these 7 billion people, is at the same time a part of the problem, because large part of our problem is that we are so many in this planet. But when we move from saying 7 billion people to say who are the 7 billion people, the 7 billion people are she, he, she, me, myself. So we are people, we are intelligent people. Potentially, we are capable to make the right choice. So the issue is what we can do to transform what could be the problem in what could be a solution. So to have 7 billion intelligent elements that are capable to make some right choice. Of course, you know, we all know, I'm not so naive and optimistic, imagine that everybody has to make for the good. But if we have to have a direction, the direction is to bet on the fact that people are capable. And so we have to see what could be done at every point, by every point of view, to promote this capability. And to promote this capability, of course, technology can be useful as a kind of enabler, something that permits to empower the people and to give them the possibility to go in the right direction. And at the same time, I think that design could be very important to facilitate this process, and at the same time also to start it, maybe to trigger it. So my presentation will be a little bit around this, starting from people and moving to design and technology with some observation, and you wave when I have to finish. Or no, 10 minutes before the end. So people. Those people are the main sustainability makers, and I think until here we are totally in agreement. And I would like to say that for sustainability, people is not a crowd. So I understand that we can use this term because it's used, but at least in between us, we have to really try to understand the difference in between talking about the people that could be actors of sustainability and the crowd. Because the crowd is something kind of gray mass of individuals. The people are human beings, as I said before, each one of them, each one of us, with own sensitivity, capability, willing to do things. And so we have to see it in some way with a more near vision. Who are they? Who are we? What are the kind of link that they have? Of course, when we talk about the possibility of doing something together, we are talking about links in between people. So we talk about not individual separated, but individual with some relationships. But we know that the kind of relationships are and could be very diverse. And we know that now the spreading of the internet and the digital service are radically changing the way, the architecture in which we establish both the quality, the quantity, and the architecture of the links. So whatever we can say about we would like to promote, to help, to support, to empower people in doing something, we have to consider who are the people and which is the architecture of links in which they are integrated. So the good thing is that, as you can read on the back, that in the last 20 years, let's say, a lot of new ideas emerge. I think that now, and especially in a context like this, I not to explain what is co-housing, collaborative housing, coach surfing, cycle of care, elderly mutual help, etc., etc. So something happened that even if whatever Chris has said before, that was very serious if you look the overall picture, but if we look better into the picture, and I'm sure that he agrees, there is a lot of initiative that appear. And these initiatives are what the people is capable to do, because the majority of these initiatives have not had as a starting point a laboratory, some scientific research, has as a starting point people facing problem in a new context and trying to use existing technology to solve it. So they are people that are being capable to invent, design, and deliver some solution, because it's very important also in continuation of our discussion, say that the same term of digital platform can be useful both for the co-design, but also for the co-delivery of the solution. Sometimes you have some co-design that afterward is not co-delivered. You can have something that is designed that is co-delivered. So it has to be seen. In any case, at the moment, let's say these people are capable of being are a minority, but it's a growing minority. There is a kind of big bubble, bubbling in a kind of a pot in which is boiling something new. And we are here to try to make this something new appear. Yeah. They are, all this on the back are hundreds of different ideas. We can find them in many places in the world, practically everywhere. They are very diverse because they are very local specific and very cultural specific, but they have something in common. And one of the most evident points that they have in common is that at the center of this initiative, there are people that are active and collaborative. And to be active and collaborative means to be totally diverse from what has been the stereotype of the consumeristic society that has been designed, we as designers have been trained to think that to make something good for the people, we have to help them to be more and more individual and more passive. Now these people show that they like to be the vice versa, to be active and being active in a collaborative way, so doing something with the others. So we have all of them. This is simply to give an image. We have collaborative way of living, the housing, collaborative neighborhoods, collaborative work, social initiative related to the making of things. And if they do it, it's because they discover that you can do something with others in the spirit that Ursula was saying before, so not to expecting so much from the others, but not the traditional political movement asking for something, but a new kind of political movement in which people do things. So if you want to do things, if you do with the other, you are more powerful. At the same time, you create new meaning. If we take, for instance, been mentioned correctly, the issue about the new way of considering the relationship between the city and the countryside, the new food network. Well, around the food, that is one of the areas in which all the discussion is more mature, there is a lot of new meaning. So the meaning of food, the meaning of time, the meaning of space. There are new meanings about what is important in our life. And in some way, there is also a new idea of beauty. Because if we are really talking about the possibility of new civilization, a new civilization, of course, is economy, of course, is organization, but the new civilization is also meaning, it's also values, and it's also at a certain point beauty. So there is a discussion about what could be the progress in this emerging way of doing that goes from the economical side toward the new values and toward the new idea of quality and, at the end of the day, of beauty. It's very, very important to say, as has been mentioned yesterday by Han, I don't know if it is Ambrezet somewhere here, that whatever we want to do, all the successful story in terms of sustainability, that is also social innovation, by the way, is that people have to trust each other. So there is a rediscussion. If we rediscuss the quality, the quantity, and the architecture of the link in between the different human beings, is equal to rediscuss how we create trust. So whatever we want to do to create new possibilities that come from the activation of people is a discussion about how you create trust and which new kind of trust. Because there has been a very traditional way of considering trust. Maybe now there is something new way to build it, but we have to understand the trust is a very fundamental issue. So, as I anticipate, all this story for me is what it says social innovation. There is a definition of social innovation that is very general, very interesting. But what is more coherent now with the discussion that we are doing today is that this kind of transformation based on people, that we can call it social innovation or design for social change, is an open-ended co-design process. So I agree it's necessary to have also specific solutions. But we have to understand that specific solutions are islands in a kind of more large network in which everything is connected, and practically the projects are never finished. It was related to traditional industrial age to think you have a problem, you find the solution, you enhance the solution, you realize it, you froze the project, you do the project, and afterward is finished. Now, in this fluid society, everything is linked. The projects are never finished, open-ended. And the design activity changed. I don't have the time now to discuss more about this, but it's a very deep change in the mentality of what is design. If you think that your problem-solving activity, also sense-making activity, is related to something that is very well defined, or if you enter in a kind of flow where your initiative have some role in one of the nodes of the designing network in which you're working. So let's now move, as I said, to design. I will start from one example and use this example to try to give hopefully a more clear idea of what are also the more theoretical implications. The example is one of the best examples, in my view, that is a case of social innovation for the social sustainability on the issue, in this case, of the elderly people. In this case, I choose a case in which the role of the expert designer is particularly clear, in the sense that many of the cases that was, the ideas that was on the bottom of the previous slides has been maybe done without any clear role for the expert designer. But given that many of us here are designers and we are designing your proposal, we have to understand it's better to use, I think, a case in which the role of designer has been clear from the beginning. So in this case, it's a cycle of care. The cycle of care means a kind of horizontal peer-to-peer relationship in between people that share the same kind of problems, in the case to have some problem with the health or because simply they are elderly, and they are supported in being active. So the issue about elderly that is so big in Europe and is incredibly big in China and is going to be big everywhere, because also the youngest person in Brazil, in 2 generations, Brazil will suffer the same kind of problem that we have now. So the issue about what to do with the demography, in which the elderly people are more in number than the young people. We are in Europe, in Japan, we are the first, the Chinese will come, and afterward everybody will come at the same kind of problems. So this is a very interesting solution because the elderly, instead of being seen as somebody sitting there and waiting for somebody that bring some help, are considered as part of the solution, not only part of the problem. So the cycle of care is a kind of cycle. It's also a club in which the different members are elderly. They enter, they commit to help each other, and afterward there is somebody that helps them to help each other. How does it work? For instance, what if now I use my approach to this story? So you start looking to what happened. So there are some events. In this case, I took a slide. The event is the group of the elderly are going together to the theater or to the museum in this case. So this is one of the events. This event happens because it is one of the many collaborative services that the cycle of care make possible. And if we had the time to look what happened during the week, we could find that they organize some visit to museum or visit to the theater, or there is somebody that help in solving practical problems, or help in transformation, or simply create some meeting in which they can chat and discuss of several different things, and so on and so forth. So this is what we see. In the term of service design, this is what you really see. But behind what you see behind the scene in the back office, a lot of other activity have to happen to make it possible. So it's not said simply because you see something so nice, people helping each other, doing interesting activities. It happens by itself. It happens because behind there is something else. And the something else is the enabling system. And in turn, the enabling system is done by organizational support, by places, because often people have to meet somewhere. There is also some economical support. So even if these services are different from the most traditional one, in some way we can separate what we see as results from the enabling system that is behind. And the enabling system is done by different role of different people, and also somebody that is a professional assistant, so a social worker. This means that in this, the economy of this solution is economy that is a kind of ecology of different economies, because those two persons are in the economy of the exchange. I do something for you and you will do something for me. Maybe there is an even older one that we don't have here that is an economy of the gift. So somebody makes something for him or for her because it's very old. There is an economy, also this one of the gift, because this is a helper that helps the other to make something happen. And afterward, there is somebody that probably is paid to make this work. And so the business model is a very interesting, sophisticated business model in which you have several kinds of different economy that converge and works nicely together. Of course, how to coordinate the fact that they could really help each other, that this one gift is time and attention, that at the right moment the social worker arrives and makes a job, because there is a platform. So the platform is, the digital platform is the digital organizer that make easier and very often make possible this kind of coordination of different people. And this is why the digital platform becomes so important, because they create the possibility to make happen something that otherwise or will ask for a hero, somebody that is really hyper-dedicated, or it will be totally impossible in the present time. Who designed all this story? As I said, this has been a co-design process. I will go very fast now. In any case, it's a typical co-design. They started, well, maybe it's easier like this, with Participo, that is a fantastic service design agency in UK. that started it. So they were a kind of design activist. They made something happen. Before, there was not there. The idea of cyclocare existed, but not in that place. And afterward, there is a strategic design that is to put together the different actors and to be clever enough to find the ones that have to be together. And afterward, there is a co-design, a typical co-design, because they involved 250 citizens to create different ideas. And afterward, there is a prototyping. And this has been the first phase of prototyping. And afterward, there is a replicating, because when they did it in Southwark, afterward, they replicated in many other places in UK. So this is a typical, quite linear, in this case, co-design activity. And it's clear that every moment is very special, has very specific need, is quite different from the others. So it is in some way linear here, but with a lot of differences in the way in which it's done, and also differences in the kind of design that is asked. So to move from this specific example to something that could be more general, it's a co-design process, and what has been the role of the designers. Because in this process, all the participants were participants to a co-design process, so they were designers in some way. And one specificity of the present age, when we say everybody has to participate, and everybody participate, is the notion of design has been spread. In everybody is taking action and making choices. So if everybody designs, what is the specificity of the expert designer? Well, we should, because I consider myself an expert designer, modestly, that we should have some specific tool. In particular, we should be the ones that look to this co-design process by the people, user point of view, and are more capable than others, because we should have some tools, to discuss about the who are they, the when, the why, and the how. So the who means who are the people. With what is new today is that traditionally in the book of design that I read when I was young, 1 century ago, it was last century as a matter of fact, it said you have to look to the people to search for the needs. So we designers are the ones that detect the needs of the people, and voila, this is the solution to your needs. Now we have to look to the needs, of course, but it's even more important to look to the capabilities. So if in an example, you have to really understand the different elderly people, not only what are their needs, but what they are still capable to do and willing to do, and implement the capability and willing to be part of the story. When? Well, this is a little bit complex. I will go very quickly, but we know that in the different cases we can talk are not at the same stage. So you can have cases in which you have really early adopters, so kind of hero that starts something that has never been done, or you can have somebody that are in the phase of consolidation, takeoff of the solution, or you can have when the solution is sufficiently stable. I can take an example. If we, very classical example, if we take car sharing, 30 years ago when in Berlin, started the car sharing, they were heroes. There was a group of Grünen, very motivated ideologically, because it was very complicated to organize the car sharing. So you should have a ideological strong motivation. In 30 years, this innovation has been in some way consolidated, and today you have several kinds of car sharing in which practically everybody can participate. Afterward, we can discuss if everything is good or not in this kind of trajectory. Yes, I finished. But as a matter of fact, we have to consider that it's not the same if we are proposing something that is totally new or we are reproducing something that is already sufficiently consolidated. So they are the heroes, they are the movement, and they are the new active citizens. There is the why. It could be the most obvious is because it's useful. So I participate to a food co-op because I want to have a good and reasonably cheap organic food, but also because there is a meaning. I participate because I like the idea to be part of a movement that is changing what is the food and agriculture. And because I like to be with other people that share more or less the same idea, so I like this kind of sociability. And therefore, as designer, we can develop new ideas about effectiveness, but not only the effectiveness by the point of view of the service deliverer, but the effectiveness by the point of view of the active user. So how much energy is asked, how much attention, how much time is asked, how much I have to work to get some solution. And also, and this in my view is equally important, because all the discussion about design for sustainability and the design for social innovation will be mainly dominated by a kind of economicistic and managerial language. I think that this is good. Things have to be economically viable, and also they should be organized in a workable way. But we need to have also the capability to introduce new meaning. It's to be gameful, if you want. But I find gameful a little bit shallow, if I can say. It's not only to be gameful. It's to really create the new deep, participate to the creation, to the new deep meaning that the new emerging society is asking for. So there is an issue about meaning. People do things because it's useful, it's not so complicated, but also because it's meaningful. And when they cooperate, we say people have to cooperate, but clearly it's very different to say which kind of cooperation they have to have. Because you can cooperate only because you share some opinions. You can cooperate because you share some information that you already have. You can cooperate because you have to search for some information, so you have to work to get this information. And you can cooperate to act on the world. And each one of these stages asks for more involvement. So it has to be considered that it's not the same thing. And the cooperation, sometimes it's a vertical cooperation. So you are an individual that has to cooperate with somebody that is organizing these whatever initiatives, as in many of the examples that we did. Or it could be a cooperation that is done horizontally with peer people that is similar to you. And the discussion about if we design for cooperation, we have to really understand better what people is asked to do, and cooperate is, as I said before, as to say to establish trust. So I cooperate if I trust the other. So if it's a vertical cooperation, I trust on who is generating, promoting this initiative. If I have a peer cooperation, I have to have trust for my peers. And we should promote these collaborative encounters. There is a theory. I feel that we have to start from a discussion that should be also a deep discussion that, of course, I will not do now, but I show you only some authors that, in my view, are fundamental, as Martin Buber, that is the one that started the discussion about the quality of the relationship in between people, or Richard Sennett, that wrote a fantastic book about togetherness and the cooperation today, so very updated. And we can ask what is the technology needed for that. And we can go back to our old friend Illich and the idea of tools for conviviality. And the issue is if the digital platform are or could be, or in which way they could be, the tool for the convivialities. I think that Illich should be in accord, thinking that they could be tools of conviviality. And if you want, we can discuss afterward during the lunch. Of course, there is something that is changing all the organizations, and these are the digital platforms. The digital platforms are very diverse. You can have vertical collaboration, horizontal collaboration. You can have collaboration for information, collaboration for action. To make it short, you can create a kind of map and to see the variety of the different kind of platform that you can combine. Each one of them dedicated. Afterward, they can be collected or they can be based on the same platform, but it's very different. And we have to understand, if we have to design it, we have to understand very well. And the first point it could be to map. And just to finish, is not only to map something that is all at the same level, But there is also a kind of more complex ecosystem that should be, in my view, to be considered. Because if we go back, I already explained, so it can be very quick. If you want to have this event, the event is based on some services. The services are based on enabling solutions. The enabling solutions are based on platforms. And I've not put here, but the platforms are based on digital infrastructure. So when we talk about what is needed to make all this potential be true of the people, we have to think how to organize this enabling system. That is enabling ecosystem, because it's done of many different elements in some way in cooperation and competition, one with the other one. And this is the conclusion also. Thank you.